Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Pragya Beneval, and in today's video, I want to talk about something that I think is quite misunderstood in human design, and that is the emotional authority. Emotional authority is the decision making authority for 51% of the population, and therefore you'd think that we'd have it figured out, or that we'd have a better understanding of how to make a decision in your life if you're an emotional being. However, I don't think that's quite the reality, really. And I think this is because we haven't really understood the solar plexus center. And that's what we're going to focus on today. The solar plexus center is the bottom right triangle in a body graph, and it is also commonly known as the emotional center. This is the hub of all emotional energy in human beings. The solar plexus center is a motor center as well as an awareness center. And actually, the solar plexus center is the newest, most recent kind of awareness to exist in human beings. And actually, technically speaking, the solar plexus center isn't even yet fully an awareness center, and it will only begin to be so after 2027. Understanding this, I think, is integral to understanding the emotional authority, because a lot of people that talk about emotional authority talk about emotional clarity as if it were emotional awareness. However, that is not really the case, because it cannot be the case in us Homo sapiens intransitus. Actually, the solar plexus center in us will never fully reach its potential, and actually, we are just an evolutionary step in order for emotional spirit awareness to exist in the world. The full potential of this emotional center is only going to be displayed in raves and not human beings. In human beings, this is a motor center, meaning that it creates emotional waves, it generates emotional waves, it manifests emotional waves, it projects emotional waves. And yes, there is the potential of awareness underneath it all, which has been evolving over time. However, that's not really a reality for us human beings. What we experience in our lives, what we experience if you're emotional within ourselves or in the world around you, is the motor potency of this center, the emotional waves of this center. And emotional awareness is not yet a reality in our world. And now that we're speaking of awareness, let's take a moment to understand the evolution of awareness in human beings and what awareness actually is. The first kind of awareness to exist on the planet was splenic awareness. We also commonly call this a survival awareness or physical awareness. This is the ability of a bioform to sense, to smell, or taste danger around itself and to be able to defend itself against that danger, which ensures its physical survival in the world. We as human beings, and actually plants, animals, anything that you see existing around you that is alive, has this kind of awareness within them. And it is this awareness that helped life develop and evolve and become more and more successful in being alive in the world. This kind of awareness shows up in a concentrated way. It is an absolute that reveals itself through instinct, intuition, or judgment. It has taken hundreds of thousands of years for bioforms to begin to develop this kind of instinctive, intuitive, judgmental awareness that ensures their survival in the world. However, as consciousness evolved and as our biogenetics became more and more evolved and refined and nuanced, a different kind of awareness began to come into the world. It was no longer enough that we were able to survive, that we were able to look after ourselves, that we were able to instinctively protect ourselves, that we were able to instinctively, intuitively feed ourselves. It was not enough that we were able to defend ourselves against germs, against diseases, against animals, against fire, against water, against everything that exists in our physical world. Now consciousness had reached at a point where further sensory development was the next natural step in evolution. And the next awareness that began to develop in human beings was mental awareness. And the senses that helped this mental awareness develop was vision, were the eyes. As human beings evolved into having binocular vision, they were now able to focus their eyes in a way that they could take strategic advantage of the physical world around them. It stopped being about how can I survive in this world and developed into how can I take advantage of this world that I can see, that I can focus on, that I can perceive with my eyes, and eventually that I can then think about in my mind and communicate to those around me. Naturally, the development of language and the ability to communicate with other human beings, what one saw, helped human beings advance as a species in the world. You see, mental awareness was a completely different kind of awareness, not just because of the sensory capacity that it opened up in human beings, but also because of its nature. Splenic awareness is concentrated in its nature. In other words, when a human being comes across danger, they get informed within their body in a concentrated fashion with awareness that they need to save themselves, that they need to protect themselves, that they need to move out of the way. Whereas with mental awareness, it operates in a periodic fashion, it operates over all time. It is constantly evaluating over periods of time how to take better advantage of the world in front of it. So, splenic awareness enabled human beings to survive in the world, but mental awareness enabled human beings to take advantage of the world and to progress further where life can be about more than just survival. Mental awareness brought measurement, mental awareness brought evaluation, mental awareness brought communication, mental awareness brought immense advancement. And it is because of this mental awareness that humanity has been able to reach the numbers that it has and lives the kind of lives that it lives. However, in 1781, a transition towards a new kind of awareness began to take place in human beings. We went from being seven-centered beings to nine-centered beings. We went from being Homo sapiens sapiens to Homo sapiens intransitus. We went from having an ajna center to having a mutated ajna center, to having a mutated neocortex, to having a mutated visual cortex. In other words, mental awareness expanded from just being about what we were able to see with our eyes and how we were able to use our binocular vision to take advantage of the world around us, to human beings being able to see without seeing, to human beings being able to pick up things in their environment, pick up sensory information in their environment without focusing with their eyes. If you know a little bit about the substructure, I'm specifically referring to the cognition of inner vision. And it was in 1781 that humanity began to evolve towards the development of a third kind of awareness in the world, solar plexus awareness or emotional awareness or spirit awareness. You see, this bioform that we inhabit, this vehicle, this body, this biogenetic form that we inhabit has taken billions of years to slowly evolve into a form that can survive, into a form that can take advantage of its environment, and is now developing into a form that is capable of electromagnetically communicating with its environment without the need of language, without the need of the mind. And that is what emotional awareness is about. That is what spirit awareness is about. The rays that are going to come into the world with a mutated solar plexus are going to be able to communicate with other rays electromagnetically and be able to share information without necessarily talking or communicating in the way that we do. They will also not necessarily need their eyes in the way that we have needed our eyes, or our minds in the way that we have needed our minds as human beings so far. The point I'm trying to make here is that you and I, as human beings, have never had emotional awareness, will never have emotional awareness, and yet we are part of this evolutionary program in which we need to learn to work with the solar plexus that is a motor center that has somewhere underneath it cooking this awareness potential. However, you and I need to step very far away from looking at our solar plexus as an awareness center within ourselves and begin to start focusing on it as a motor. And once we understand this, we can start to understand the emotional authority so much better. So if you have a defined solar plexus, you have an emotional wave that is generated by this motor that is the solar plexus that you need to learn to consider when making decisions, that you need to learn to be cognizant of. And I shouldn't use the word cognizant because that involves in some way the mind, but you need to learn to be in touch with your emotional landscape. As an emotional person, whether you're making a decision about something or not, you are riding an emotional wave. And your wave is going to feel different depending on your design. And we can talk about the different waves that are created out of the solar plexus. But the first thing to understand is that regardless of what is happening, of whether you're making a decision or not, you are constantly experiencing life through emotional waves, which can be experienced as nervousness within your system, sensory nervousness within your body. Bear in mind that the biological correlation of the solar plexus center is with the nervous system, is with the pancreas, is with the prostate, is with the lungs. So the solar plexus center is actually biologically in touch with so many different organs within your body, including your overall nervous system. And therefore, if you have a defined solar plexus in your chart, you are someone that is experiencing a rise and fall in nervousness over all time. Or a better way of saying it would be a rise of nervousness in a cyclical fashion. Every emotional person works deeply with sensations, perceptions, feelings, emotions in a cyclical fashion. And making decisions in your life is about you learning to recognize that you're at a certain point in your emotional wave. And because you're at a certain point in your emotional wave, that you're perceiving things in a certain way, that you're sensing things in a certain way, that you're feeling about things in a certain way. But as the wave moves, or rather, as you move at a different point in your wave, you're going to be able to assess what it is that you're engaging with in a different way, and therefore be able to gain more sensory data, and therefore be able to gain more of a deeper feeling about what it is that you really feel about engaging with this thing or this person. Making a decision for you is about reaching a place of emotional clarity in which there isn't necessarily a lot of emotional nervousness about the decision. And therefore, everyone in human design will tell you that you should sleep on things and take some time to make decisions in your life. Because when you make a decision impulsively, what you will come to realize over a period of time that you actually feel differently about it the next day, and maybe way more differently about it a month from now. And again, there isn't really a set fixed time in which it is recommended for you to make a decision. The only time that you should be making a decision about something is when you have some kind of clarity about that thing that you're engaging with, or that person that you're engaging with, or that opportunity that you're engaging with, which means that there isn't a lot of nervousness around that decision. And again, I wouldn't really say that this is a point of neutrality for you, because the truth is that an emotional being is never really neutral. You never really get to a place of certainty. And I think that's one of the things that emotional folks get extremely wrong. You don't wait on your decision, you don't sleep over things so that you can think about your decision and mentally process your decision so that you can reach a place of certainty. That's not what the emotional process is about. The emotional process is about gaining more and more sensory data. The emotional process is developing a deeper, clearer feeling within yourself about the decision that you're trying to make. And it isn't necessarily a certainty, it isn't necessarily a cognitive list of pros and cons. It's just a feeling. And that feeling isn't a nervous feeling. It's either a I don't want to engage with this feeling, or I mostly want to engage with this thing feeling, right? And this is why Ra will also say that emotional folks cannot really know 100% if it is really a yes for them or a no. It's mostly a yes or mostly a no. And this is also because it's not an awareness center yet. There isn't really that absolute awareness present or available for us there yet. What we're trying to do when we're trying to make decision as an emotional being is to not get completely thrown off by the motor function of the center, and to get sort of a window on the potential awareness that can exist somewhere underneath it. And this is why Ra says that emotional clarity is not emotional awareness. It's not truth. It's not like when you have clarity, you know the truth. It's that you have a window to the truth. And that's kind of the distinction that I feel is really important to understand, is that when you make decisions as an emotional person, when you say yes to an experience, when you say yes to an opportunity, when you say yes to a person, when you say yes to anything, it isn't about getting to a place of full absolute truth, because there is no such thing for you. It is always a relative truth for you. It's always a relative clarity for you, which again will develop over time, again will change over time. But if you have taken the time to let the nervousness, the emotional nervousness, the fear around the decision settle, you can know that it is correct for you to engage with something or not. Decision making for you is about letting the sensory data that you pick up mature within you as a feeling. It's about letting the sensory data within you gain depth and width. It's about letting the decision get heavy. I think that's a really brilliant way of conceptualizing emotional authority. It's that when you're trying to make a decision, at a certain point, the decision that you're going to make becomes very heavy. It becomes very meaty. It becomes very nuanced. It becomes detailed. For an emotional person, it's like watching film being developed like it was developed in the older times. And maybe perhaps that's not even the best example, because that puts you in a more vision space, right? Where you watch the picture develop. I think a better way would be, when we have those like mystery boxes in which you have a circle and it's fully covered and people put random objects in it, and all you get to do is like put your hand inside it, and you're not seeing it with your eyes, but you're getting to like get a feel of the different objects that are inside that mystery box. And by feeling into it, you're getting a sense of what it is and you're trying to guess it. I think that's kind of what life is like for you guys. It's about taking life in, and it's about letting it touch you or you touching it. It's about gaining that feeling. It's about gaining those senses. It's about gaining that sense of perception of what it is that you're sensing. And it's about letting those develop into feelings, and develop into feelings that aren't really full of nervousness, that there is some kind of depth and nuance to that feeling, right? The first time that you touch something, you get a certain amount of information about it. And the second time you touch it, you get something different. And as you move along your wave, it all adds up to get you to a certain place where, one, you're not so nervous about touching the thing that you're touching, or you reach a place where you're way too nervous about touching the thing that you're touching and you don't want anything to do with it, which means it's a no, right? So you let the decision mature within you. And this maturation process isn't necessarily about what you think about what you're trying to make a decision about. It's about what you feel about the thing that you're trying to make a decision about. And it's about learning to be in touch with that feeling, whether it makes sense or not, whether it adds up or not, whether it's logical or not. It's just a feeling. It's just sensory data. And you have to understand that this is the only way to go about it, because as I discussed before, spiritual awareness, emotional awareness is an awareness that is beyond the mind. It is about being able to decide on things electromagnetically. It is about bypassing the mind altogether to be able to make a decision. And again, the mind can measure that and the mind can think all sorts of things about it. But you have to see the evolution of awareness within human beings. It's going from physical awareness to mental awareness to spiritual or emotional awareness for a reason. We got here and we needed to survive. We survived and then we needed to advance. We advanced, and now we need to figure out if the advancement that we have experienced is actually even in true alignment with our spirit. So as an emotional being, your life isn't really about certain living. It isn't about taking the most advantage of the world that you can. It's about communion with the other that goes beyond the mind. And I know that this is such a hard thing for us to grasp. It's sci-fi, it's fiction, really. But actually, where we're moving is towards electromagnetic, telepathic communication. And your system, your body, is a midpoint in that transition. And if you make decisions that don't feel correct for you in your system, you're up for a life of immense dysregulation. I mean, you're already working with a motor center that is connected to 3 other motors. So it's not like your emotional experience is a peaceful experience anyway, right? It's not like this is the emotional center in its full capacity. We're in a transitional phase, so emotional dysregulation is actually very much a realistic part of your experience. But if you don't learn to live your life with emotional clarity, that emotional dysregulation can be immense and can not only cause a havoc in your life, but also impact the world around you in a really, really chaotic, violent, sometimes even abusive way. It is your responsibility to learn to be patient with your emotional wave. It is your responsibility to learn to be patient with decision making. It is your responsibility to learn to witness your emotional state. It is your responsibility to get out of your goddamn mind and to learn to be in touch with your feelings and to learn to operate with emotional clarity. And I know that I can come across a little bit harsh when I'm saying this because it seems like I don't have empathy for what you're navigating in your life. But that's not true. I actually have a lot of empathy for emotional beings. I'm surrounded by them and I can witness their process and how difficult it is amplified and distorted in my system. And it is exactly because of that that I feel it is necessary for us to talk about how much of a responsibility we each have to play in this process. If all I'm going to experience as an undefined or open solar plexus in the world is waves of chaos, I have no choice but to amplify and distort that and be traumatized by that and try to avoid all intimacy and communion possible. And I know that's not the solution either, so I try my best to work with what I experience. But I think that emotional folks also have to begin to learn to take responsibility for their own bodies and the reality of their own system and educate themselves more on how to live with it better. Because you can live with it better. Breathe. There are so many different kinds of breathing practices in the world that can be so helpful for a defined solar plexus. Learn to shake it out. Learn to move your body in ways that can help you dispel the excess emotional energy that you experience in your system at certain times in your wave. And if you are one of those people that has a repressed emotional system and you know that you're emotional, then it is also time to start to free yourself from the shame of being an emotional person and to realize that it's not shameful to be emotional. It's not shameful to have feelings. It's not shameful to not be certain. It's not disgraceful that you go up and down. It's just that no one taught you how to live better with it. No one taught you how to make decisions when you're experiencing all of this dysregulation and you're constantly getting dysregulated feedback from your environment. So please don't think that I don't have empathy for your experience, but I do think it's time to educate ourselves. I do think it's time to take responsibility for the role that we play in our lives and in the lives of those around us, and that there's nothing wrong with calling that out. On that note, I hope that this video was helpful for you in some way. I think I'm going to make another video talking about the specific waves in the solar plexus center because this is already way too long. So wait for that one. Comment down below if you have any feelings about anything that I shared. If it was helpful, if you would like to add something to this conversation, I'd love to hear. And I'll see you in the next one. Thank you. Bye.